wars would be won or lost from the air. The success of our defence would depend on early warning of attack. And before the advent of radar, the best chance we had of getting that early warning was one of these monolithic, upturned concrete soap dishes. Known as sound mirrors, these top-secret constructions built between the wars were designed as giant ears to listen out for approaching enemy aircraft. Most of them have been demolished, vandalised, or simply rotted away, but remarkably this one just outside Folkestone is still standing. And just 18 miles further down the coast, at Denge, near Dungeness, 3 more sound mirrors remain in a remarkable condition, considering they were abandoned more than 70 years ago. It's hard to believe that these long-forgotten relics of war played a vital role in the defence of the United Kingdom. Great to meet you. Richard Scarth has dedicated 20 years of his life to the study of the mirrors. Richard, they're incredible! The sound mirrors were the life's work of one man, Dr. William Tucker. Richard, by the time Tucker came here, he'd been working on sound detection equipment for 20 years. He had, and the result of that work was this magnificent structure here, the biggest sound mirror of all. This is a monument to his life work. Yes, it is, yes. It is absolutely fantastic, enormous. In their day, these mirrors were the cutting edge of military hardware. 70 years on, they lie abandoned, and the secrets of how they work, forgotten. But with the help of the National Physical Laboratory and the Open University, we're going to unravel their mysteries and get them working again. Very little technical information has survived, so our scientists are going to have to work from scratch, and their first discovery is that the mirrors are much more complicated than they appear.
Okay, so it's ready to go.
Yeah, because that's as far as it's going up.
In the 1930s, as Tucker's team struggled to perfect the sound mirrors, tension was rising across Europe. And in Britain, the government began to assess the country's readiness for war. As part of those exercises, aircraft were flown towards the sound mirrors to assess their early warning capabilities. We've got a tiger moth standing by to do the same thing. But before it can take to the air, we've got to discover how the mirrors actually work.
A little bit more, try a little bit more.
By setting up 2 microphones, a red one listening to the mirror and a control microphone marked with blue, well away from the mirror, our scientists hope to reveal the sound mirror's secrets.
What we're using is a single tone, and so what that shows up on this graph is a single peak, and you can see this single peak here.
Very dramatic spike.
On the top graph,
Which is the red microphone.
at the sound mirror focus, you can see that we've got a level which is up around 70, 80 decibels in fact. On the blue graph at the bottom,
That's the microphone standing in the open.
yeah, you can see the level's much lower, down at about 60 decibels.
So the sound mirror microphone is picking up much more sounds.
So they're amplifying it by as much as 15 decibels.
So this is exactly what Tucker's engineers, his physicists, would have been doing all those years ago.
Exactly.
Our first eureka moment. The sound mirror makes the tone almost 4 times louder.
In the simplest case, an aeroplane could be coming in, sound waves coming from that aeroplane are going to hit the mirror at different points. And where those reflected rays meet is what we call the focal point, and you'll get an increase in the sound level at that point. But if, say, for example, the aeroplane was off axis, sound travelling from that is going to bounce off the mirror. But this time the angles would have changed. The focal point has now moved down to here. If you simply move your microphone, you can get not only an early warning that a plane's coming in, but also the direction.
Which is the essence of early warning.
Absolutely.
Right, well that's got enough water out. We can now see how the mechanism works, can't we?
Yes, you've got to imagine that underneath here was an operating room, and there's a man sitting in there who's got control of this apparatus, which is designed to move a trumpet which was on the end of that arm over the focal area of the mirror. The mirror is designed to focus sound just a few feet in front of it, and so the collector went round at that plane. and picked up the sounds, hopefully, of a distant aero engine. And when he listened in his stethoscopes, when he got to the place where it was the loudest sound, that was the direction which the aircraft was coming. And of course, the idea was that there'd be several of these mirrors up and down the coast, and they could work together to a control centre, and of course, they'd get cross bearings, which would give them more accuracy.
At the heart of this larger network of mirrors was Dr. Tucker's 200-foot wall. Armed with the understanding we've gained from our experiments at the smaller mirror, our scientists are now ready to use Tucker's wall for our own early warning test. Our tiger moth will head out to sea, then turn back and approach the mirror along its axis, which we've marked with a white sheet.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Flying at 500 feet and 90 miles an hour, this mimics one of the government tests from the 1930s.
I'm going to put these headphones on, and these are wired up to the red microphone in front of the sound mirrors. So if Tucker's wall works, I'm going to hear the plane first.
Yes.
The piston engine tiger moth of the 1930s sounds exactly like the planes that Tucker's men would have been listening out for.
Tension's really unbearable just waiting. Complete silence. Headphones are silent. Can't see anything yet. I'm getting something! I can hear it! And some spikes. I can't hear a thing without them on. Nothing on the blue trace. Blue trace. It's definitely the tiger moth. There's its fingerprint. Fantastic! Now I can hear it really clearly. Yeah, here he comes. Really loud now. There it is! Right above us at last. Tucker's machine beat the human ear by a long way. That was fantastic. 70 years on, it still works.
So we got nearly 40 seconds, or about a 1 mile advance warning. Not bad for a 70-year-old piece of concrete, but nowhere near Tucker's best ever results of over 20 miles. But in 1933, while Dr. Tucker and his team were toasting their success, other scientists were measuring a BBC radio signal as it bounced off a Hayford bomber. After only 5 months in development, this discovery, the earliest form of radar, was detecting planes over 40 miles away, twice the distance that the sound mirrors had ever achieved. It was all over for Dr. Tucker's acoustic detection system. By 1937, the sound mirrors had been abandoned.
What became of Dr. Tucker, Richard? For some reason that nobody seems to be able to explain, he was more or less forcibly made to retire. And one of the last things he was asked to do was to destroy the mirrors by blowing them up. But thank goodness he didn't obey his orders.
Dr. Tucker's retirement may have been the end for the sound mirrors, but nevertheless, they were to have a profound effect on the course of the Second World War. The reporting structure that Tucker developed for the mirrors was copied by the radar team, and led directly to their success in the Battle of Britain.